let's talk about TNA. TNA had their first episode of the new TNA on January the 18th, 2023. I decided to see if they are really committed to change and to see if they're going to have a new direction, new focus. And I will say it does look better. The camera work looks so much better. Everything looks more crisp. It feels like TNA has finally gotten out of the pandemic. That's what it looks like. So they're finally doing something good here. I usually don't talk about the TNA weekly show, but we're going to talk about this one and then maybe the next one. So let's get into the card. And I think this was better than Hard to Kill, if we're being honest. Still had some of the same problems Hard to Kill had, but I think they were going in a better direction here. All right, so they had a X Division showcase for the first match. Jake Something defeated Laredo Kid, El Hijo del Vikingo, Mike Bailey, Trey Miguel, and Kushida. Of course, this match it's a X Division match, which means it's mostly cruiserweights flying around doing cruiserweight stuff. And they did an amazing spot here where El Hijo del Vikingo does a 450 into a Hurricanrana on the shoulders of Jake Something, who then countered it into powerbombing El Vikingo over the top rope onto the crowd. It was super over the top. It was, I don't know if it was great or if it was like spotty as all hell. I couldn't tell you. I know it was a spectacle, and I was like, wow. And that basically was Jake Something's position in this match. He was kind of no-selling some of their offense, like the chops and stuff. Like they were trying to put over how big he is. And this was about going back in time to when guys like Samoa Joe or Abyss would be X Division champions or X Division contenders. Because it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. And so Jake Something was the big guy, quote unquote, in this match. The only problem I have here is a lot of these guys, like Trey Miguel, like Laredo Kid, incredibly talented. Jake Something is another one, very, very talented. They're not doing anything with them. They're present. You see them here. I see them. But they're in 6-man tags. They're in shit like this. It's like, okay, that would be nice, but how about getting them in the mix? But this was fine. Ash by Elegance had herself a vignette, and her gimmick seems to be around perfume. Like if you watch the ad, everybody who is attacking her for trying to rip off Toni Storm, and we'll get into that in a second because she actually did respond to that, so I'll talk about it. But if you watch the commercial, it has very little to do with what you think Toni Storm's character is. This seems to be that Ash by Elegance is a perfume model. I don't know what, but it's it looked like a perfume commercial. So that seems to be what they're going for. It's an interesting gimmick. I don't know if she's going with a model. I don't know what she's going with. But on Twitter, I think it was the day before this episode aired, so before people even saw this vignette, she tweeted out, "Relax, everyone. It's a hairstyle. I haven't cut a promo or stepped foot in the ring, and y'all are hating. Let me tell you something. I like Toni Storm, but respectfully, she will never be me, and I'll never be her. But at least you're talking about me." And I didn't know she had stands. The way that she's got stands, it's crazy that these people are obsessed with female wrestlers, but the Dana Brooke stands have got to be the weirdest. What exactly are you standing? I don't even remember what this chick looks like sometimes because, she's going under the knife. I shouldn't say that. But I don't think that she's ripping off Toni Storm. I really don't. To me, it is a similar hairstyle, but, it's a woman with swooping hair. It's another blonde female wrestler. Again, we've been there before. Tasha Steelz was defeated by Xia Brookside. Nothing wrong with this match. It was just there, kind of. This was a lot better showing for Xia Brookside than being an Ultimate X, where I still would have liked for them to show some personality, but it seems that she's going to be working heel in this company. So, okay. They showed a vignette of Giselle Shaw winning the Knockouts Ultimate X, and then Gail Kim telling Giselle Shaw that Giselle does not need to be hanging around that entourage, that Giselle does not need that entourage, to which Giselle thought about it, seemed to be considering it, and walked away. So it seems that they're about to try to turn Giselle babyface. I don't care. I don't care. Trying to use fail Gail. That's really not going to work with me, pal. Joe Hendry, they showed a clip of Joe Hendry making fun of Top Dollar being the Cheez-It champion. It was humorous. Then he says that he was attacked by AJ Francis and Who Kid, but he understands when you're the Cheez-It champion, you got a target on your back. There's always people after you. And then says that he is not going to pursue revenge because he's got a sweet new laptop, which he had in his hands. But then he said it's all busted up and he doesn't really want it. So he turned around to throw it in the garbage. And there is DJ Who Kid in the trash. That was actually funny. Who Kid is in the trash. So then Joe Hendry walks off the screen, which should have been it. But then he leans back and goes, Who Kid? And I was like, why turn it into comedy? When you it was kind of a badass moment where you like, I already got my revenge on this one guy. So, there's one guy remaining. But he turned it into comedy by coming back and sort of mocking him. I like Joe Hendry, so I'm not going to, take the piss out of him too much. He kind of should turn, the comedy down a little bit. I think he has the potential to be one of the top guys in TNA for sure. He just has to turn down the comedy just a little bit. He can still use that charisma and that personality, but be a main event guy. And why is he still in this position anyway? Why hasn't he moved up the card? He should be a guy they should be pushing as one of the top guys. He should be huge on like social media. He seemed like a guy who would be big on like TikTok or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing things and they're not seeing them. I also think Jake something has something, but I don't know nothing. The Grizzled Young Vets, they wrestled and they defeated Frankie Kazarian and Eric Young in a tag team match. I realized just how small Grizzled Young Vets are in this match. They are tiny, especially James Drake. He is very, very small. I think if he tied his boots up any higher, they'd get tangled in his beard. I have no idea how tiny these people are. And they won the match because Kazarian mistakenly punched Eric Young, which of course caused a little bit of a distraction so JYV could hit their finish, and then they win. I'm not a big fan of Kazarian or Eric Young. They're old guys, and I'm of the opinion that we got enough old guys in WWE and AEW. Like, we don't really need any more old guys populating important spots on wrestling rosters. At this point, these guys should be popping in and popping out and, maybe be the producers, trainers, stuff like that. It's just, I'm glad they still have work, I guess, but come on. All right, after the match, Kazarian actually attacked Eric Young and beat him up. No reason was given. So it is what it is. We're supposed to care because I guess we were supposed to care about Eric Young. Had you fooled? Because I don't. Speaking of old guys I don't really want to see, Moose is celebrating his title win with the System. And they're eating dinner and talking about fighting the Motor City Machine Guns and Kazuchika Okada. And that, those guys should be running scared from them. I don't know why they're not feuding. In fact, Nick Nemeth is the one who attacked Moose. Shouldn't it be Nick Nemeth and Motor City Machine Guns? Wouldn't that be... Okay, they got to use Okada, right? Okay, sure, whatever. Anyway, they said that nobody can stop them, not even Nick Nemeth. And then they apologized for even mentioning his name around Moose. Because Moose wants to focus on being the world champion and wants to focus on themselves. And nobody been able to stop the System. Later on, there's a promo between Motor City Machine Guns and Okada where they talked about, being in TNA and knowing Okada since way back in 2006 and knowing what he could do and knowing what his potential is. And then Okada himself comes on the screen and says, next week, I return to TNA. He said it in English. So I was like, I didn't know he spoke English. I really didn't. I don't think anybody has ever challenged him with speaking English, but then again, I don't watch New Japan that much. So he speaks more English than I thought. Congratulations. It's kind of clear too. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't like he's not a natural English speaker, but he might actually be better at it than like Nakamura and Asuka. But we'll see. All right, so Nick Nemeth, he cut a promo. this was the big draw for, you know, me specifically in watching this show. I wanted to see what they were going to do with their huge new signing. I'm not going to put huge in quotation because this is a legit big signing for them. Nick started out by saying that he did, in 19 years, he's done a lot, had a lot of accomplishments, but that was only in one world. So now he's here. He's nervous. He's excited. And he wants to become the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And he's going to celebrate that when he gets it with everybody here. And it's going to be the biggest night of his career. But he's not going to come out here and demand a championship match. He has too much respect for the locker room, for the men and women in the locker room to do that. So this is his day one. And he wants to start from the bottom. He wants to earn it. He is then interrupted by Steve Maclin, who looks like the army guy from Small Soldiers. He literally he's a blockhead. You know, like oh God, Steve Maclin's a blockhead. Anyway, he came out there and says that they came from the same place. One of the old, there's a lot of similarities between you and I, wrestling promos. I'm so sick of hearing those nowadays. There's so many of those. You know what? You like hamburgers? Well, I do too. There's a lot of similarities between you and I. You like ice cream? I do too. So he talked about how they're both from the same world. They both got kicked out. But he worked his way up from the bottom 3 years ago to be the world champion. And he says that he's always hearing about how much Nick gave and gave and gave to the business. And that was his problem. He always gave. He never took. But now he's in TNA and now he's going to take. That he knows that Nick Nemeth is just in TNA to suck the blood of TNA and then go somewhere else. And he's not going to let that happen because TNA is his home, his area of operations. And ultimately, people will not know anything about Nick Nemeth. They're just going to ask what the hell happened to Dolph Ziggler. So then Dolph put him on his ass, which was fine. Again, this was a very cliche wrestling promo from Maclin. The I'm standing up for my promotion gimmick, which I don't know when that started. Like, when did that start? You know, I know Hangman Page did it. I'm going to protect this place from you with the old CM Punk thing. And now they're doing the same thing with CM Punk and WWE, where Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre is getting in his face. Or I get to protect this place from somebody like you who's going to destroy everything and tear everybody apart. It's like, why do you give a shit? I don't remember anybody caring about this kind of stuff before. If anything, Maclin should say, you're not going to get the world title before I do. You know, I've already been world champion, blah, blah, blah. Or you have to start through me, or you have to go through me, or whatever. Put himself as a gatekeeper. By saying, I'm going to be, this is my area of operations. I'm the guy here. Okay. Sure. Whatever you say, boss. Jordynne Grace, with her mutant voice, says that Trinity was on top of her game, but she is also on the top of her game too. And Trinity was undefeated until she met her. And it feels good and it was an honor to wrestle under the TNA banner. To which Trinity came out and said she wants her rematch next week. And it is already set. And since you guys probably already know, Trinity lost that match. I mean, the match was taped a week in advance. So, of course, the post-match promo has been floating around. I'm not going to go into it. I'm going to wait until next week to go into it. But, yeah, we knew Trinity was going to lose when they decided to put it on TV. And it is what it is. So, you didn't have enough of the Rainbow League earlier. So, here comes Jay Vidal. Fingernails painted, super long weave. I don't know what's going on with this fella. He gets in the ring, says how he broke out in his first forays into wrestling, came out of Las Vegas. And he says he looks around and sees why he left this disgusting place. And as the people booed him, he says, nobody here can beat me up. To which PCO came out there and beat him up. I guess it was a match. Technically, it was a match, wasn't it? Yeah, it was technically a match. So they beat him up and Jay Vidal got pinned. The main event of the evening was Will Ospreay versus Josh Alexander, a match that took place and it was on for 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Look, this fan base is what it is. Earlier in the night, Will Ospreay cut a promo saying that he came into TNA or Impact as an outsider and left Josh Alexander laying, and says that, but TNA is why he's here. Is why he's a pro wrestler, because he loves TNA, and that it's time for Josh Alexander to step up. You know, every company has to have a world beater. Is Josh Alexander that guy for TNA? And that he doesn't believe that Josh Alexander can handle the pressure. Let's pause right here, because I truly believe that Will Ospreay is not lying when he says he grew up on TNA because he's European. Specifically, I think he's English. And TNA was on regular TV. So it has a lot of people who were probably watching it because it was easy to see on free TV. And so I believe him when he says that he grew up watching TNA and he always wanted to wrestle here and that kind of stuff. That doesn't come across as being false. What I don't like, however, is we're trying to push Josh Alexander as being like the face of the brand, because that's not going to work. Josh Alexander has the charisma of an empty book. I'm talking a book with no words in it. There's nothing more to Josh Alexander than what you see in the ring. Nothing. That's not enough to get people to watch this show every week. They put this whole match out on YouTube, by the way. So if you wanted to watch just this match, you can. But I don't care that much about this. Josh Alexander defeated Will Ospreay. This was a match in which there was a table spot and a tombstone piledriver, both of which were outside the ring, and they did not get counted out. So you already know what kind of match they're having. There was a table spot where both went crashing through the table. The doctors were checking on them. The referee was just looking at them and then decided, I ain't going to count nobody out. I'm going to make them finish this match. And then they went back in the ring. Then they went back out the ring. And Josh Alexander tombstone power drives Will Ospreay on the ramp. They didn't get counted out then either. And then they got back in the ring where Will Ospreay hit two of his finishers on Josh Alexander but couldn't beat him. And Josh Alexander ended up pinning Will Ospreay with the C4 spike and won the match. So Josh Alexander is the flag bearer for TNA. He's the guy. They're trying to make him like the Bret Hart of TNA, but he has less charisma than Bret Hart. Again, there's no more to Josh Alexander than what you see in the ring. It's very unfortunate. Scott D'Amore came out, put over the match, how great it was, how great everybody is. And he put over his own history, saying that when he's been in this business all these many years, he's been up and down the roads, been through everywhere. He saw the lowest of the lows, and when he came here, he saw the corpse that Bruce Pritchard left behind when he said that TNA was dead. Then he said he saw fans, he saw wrestlers like Josh Alexander and Will Ospreay roll up their sleeves and pump the blood of TNA with their bare hands, and because of them, TNA has never died, and it will never, ever die. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. More rallying of the troops, getting people very excited, or, it's kind of like modern nostalgia. I guess they really want us to believe that this new TNA can be just as good as the old one. Look, I'm willing to accept that to a degree, but you got to do better things with the talent that you have. This was a better show for me than Hard to Kill, however. There were fewer fat old people on this show. No Tommy Dreamers, no Rhinos. Sure, there was Eric Young and there was Kazarian, and I had to deal with Josh Alexander having 30 minutes in the main event. But at least there was some intriguing stuff. There was the Ash by Elegance vignette. There was a nickname of Steve Macklin's promo segment, which I actually enjoyed. There was the X Division Showcase, which I think is pretty good and was classic TNA. So there was still some stuff there to like. So I'll give it a thumbs up. I give it more of a thumbs up than Hard to Kill. When it comes to restoring the feeling, which I know a lot of wrestling companies is trying to do now, everybody's trying to go back and restore the AEW's whole thing now is restoring the feeling, and Triple H is trying to bring back some of the elements of WWF's past. And now TNA is trying to do the same thing. It's like all three major North American wrestling promotions are doing the same damn thing, which is digging into the past. And matter of fact, AAA is also digging into the past. They're uploading a bunch of old matches onto their YouTube channel and doing retro stuff. It's like, nostalgia is a thing in 2024, huh? Anyway, TNA is doing fine because they're trying to mix the past and the future. I really wish they need to shave a little bit more of their past because those people are way too prominent. But overall, I liked it better than I like Hard to Kill. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys later.